Hello, everyone. I'm Mike Favor, and I'm with Robbinsdale Area Schools. And my job title is Executive Director of Student Services and Secondary Schools. Excuse me. You've heard a lot today about what happens at the Institute, but I want to give you a different perspective. I'm a proud product of Minneapolis Public Schools. I'm a Minneapolis North graduate, go Polars, and and I come from a school that was strong in community. I think that's important. What I'd like to talk about is this institute. With this institute, we're looking at working kids through and in traditional ways sometimes when we're dealing with non-traditional situations. The world's best workforce, for example, talks about closing gaps and alignment to closing gaps by a certain time. I want to say 2017, I believe, but closing gaps. What this institute does is it makes this work actionable. And what I mean by actionable, you're actually doing action research. You're actually out. You don't you don't sit back and wait and just talk about equity, talk about what equity and leadership looks like. It makes it much more actionable because what you get from this institute is practice. And I think that's important because I was sitting here a little bit earlier, we were talking about licensure. You know, in alignment with, to me, the world's best workforce, if we're going to get to the goals of what needs to happen in the world's best workforce, I believe that we have to make the behavior actionable. I was always taught as a leader, teach the behavior you want to see. Teach what it looks like, walk people through it. So what does that look like to teach the behavior of a principal that you want to see? That you want to see from the principal leader, from the staff, and from the students, and the families and parents. So that's what this institute really does. It teaches the behavior that we want to see in an action research way, a dialogue way, using this professional learning community to grow principal leaders. And now, doing some of the functions as an assistant superintendent, I sit back and I watch, and I'm thinking, teach the behaviors that we want to see. So what does that look like now? My challenge to the Institute is, what does that look like now as we develop superintendents in a succession planning kind of way? What is the behavior we want to see from our leaders to meet the goals of the world's best workforce? And to also not shy away from the difficult conversations around many of the isms of race, poverty, equity, and so on. I'm excited to be a part of this institute. We have all of our secondary principals, every one of them in the institute right now. And some of them have been teaching or have been leaders for 10 to 15 years. But the practice and the expectations on the job is much different. And are we developing principals to meet those expectations, to meet that practice, principals and superintendents? Are we really developing them to meet the practice and the expectations of the world's best workforce and or the Browning of Minnesota?